My high school bully became my manager. I pretended to be his friend for months, then exposed him in front of the whole company and got him fired on his birthday. I didn't even recognize him at first. Then I heard the voice. This happened over the course of a year, and it still feels surreal typing it out. I've never posted before, but this is one of those stories that people have told me. Dude, Reddit would eat this up. So, here we go. I, 29M, work in UX design for a mid-sized software company. Been there a few years now. Good pay, decent coworkers, not too much drama. I usually keep to myself, get my work done, crack jokes with the 2 or 3 people I actually like, then go home to my cat and my video games. So last year, our department manager left, and the company announced we'd be getting a new one. They hyped him up as someone with tons of experience and a strong leadership background, blah blah. I didn't think much of it. New bosses come and go. The Monday he started, they brought him in during our morning stand-up to do the whole, "Hey everyone, meet Jason. He's the new UX manager" thing. I didn't recognize him at first. He looked different, sharper, clean-cut, in a way that said he definitely owned a skincare routine and probably followed Finance Bro YouTube channels. But then he spoke, and my stomach dropped. That voice. That stupid, smug, slightly nasal voice. "Hey, good to meet you all. I'm excited to dive in and see how we can tighten things up in here." Jason Foster, my high school bully. No exaggeration, this guy made my life a living hell for 4 straight years. He wasn't the loud, obvious kind of bully either. He was the subtle, manipulative kind. The kind who'd smile while calling you a freak. Who'd accidentally spill soda on your backpack during lunch. Who'd start rumors just to watch you squirm. He never laid hands on me, so the school never really did anything. But the psychological damage? That stuck. I still have trust issues because of the crap he pulled. I'd see his face in old yearbooks and feel that familiar tightening in my chest, even a decade later. And now he was my boss. It took a minute to process. I kept my face neutral and just nodded along with everyone else. There was no way he'd recognize me right away. Back then I was skinny, pale, acne-ridden, with a bowl cut and glasses. Now I'm healthier, wear contacts, got a beard, and go by Mark instead of Marcus. Still, part of me expected him to do a double take. Some kind of sitcom moment where he gasps and goes, "You?" Nope, nothing. The next couple days, I kept my head down. But I watched him. He acted confident, like he already owned the place, but I noticed he didn't actually do much. He'd interrupt meetings to share vague opinions, piggyback on other people's ideas, and call it strategic guidance. Classic corporate parasite behavior. Then came day 3. He was walking past my desk and stopped. "Hey, Marcus." My heart did this weird skip. "Yeah," I said. He squinted. "Wait a sec. Marcus Dillard? From Westview High?" I nodded slowly. "Yeah, that's me." His eyes lit up. "No freaking way. Dude, you look so different. I almost didn't recognize you." I gave him a polite smile. "It's been a while." He laughed and slapped my shoulder like we were old buddies. "Man, small world, huh? Damn, how've you been, man?" I just said, "Good." And he nodded, said we should catch up sometime, and walked off. Catch up, like we were just casual acquaintances. Like he hadn't made high school feel like a war zone for me. I sat there for a while after that. My hands were actually shaking. Not because I was scared. I wasn't that kid anymore. But because of the rage. The absolute audacity of this guy to act like nothing happened. Like we were on equal footing now. And that's when the idea started forming. I didn't want to just survive this. I didn't want to just put up with him again. I wanted to burn him. But not emotionally. Not violently. Professionally. I wanted him to feel what it was like to have someone quietly destroy everything you thought you controlled. So, I started planning. Step 1. Play nice. If Jason was going to act like we were friends now, fine. I'd let him. I'd be friendly. Cooperative. I'd play the long game. Because I needed time. Time to learn his weaknesses, time to gain his trust, and time to document everything. The best revenge, I decided, wasn't about yelling or confrontation. It was about precision. And I was going to be surgical about it. Once I decided I was going to take Jason down, I knew I had to be patient. That's not easy for someone like me. I'm not naturally manipulative. I'm a get in, do your job, and get out kind of guy. But I learned in high school, because of him, ironically, that sometimes surviving means learning how to smile while someone's twisting the knife. So I went full chameleon. Over the next few weeks, I let Jason believe we were reconnecting. I laughed at his dumb stories from college, nodded when he bragged about rebuilding underperforming teams, which I later found out was total BS. He was shuffled out of his last job because the devs hated him. I even added him on LinkedIn and reacted to his posts like some desperate fanboy. The more I played nice, the more he opened up. Jason's the kind of guy who needs to be liked. He feeds on approval. So when someone acts like he's the alpha in the room, he starts getting sloppy. And man, did he get sloppy. At first, it was small stuff. He started taking credit for my work in team meetings, claiming he pushed for a new user flow that I had designed over a weekend. He knew damn well he had nothing to do with it, but the VP didn't know that. I made a note of it. Literally, I started keeping a Google Doc titled Jason Receipts. Every lie, every unethical comment, every backhanded email, I logged it. Then came the bigger red flags. One time, Jason had me CC'd on an email to a freelance designer. He wanted to outsource a redesign for a client we'd been working with for 3 months. That in itself wasn't wrong, except he framed it like the internal team, me and 2 others, wasn't keeping up with expectations. Mind you, we were ahead of schedule. I checked the project board. We were green across the board. But he was setting a narrative. Internal team equals lazy. Jason equals fixer. I started collecting internal status reports, screenshots of Trello boards, timestamped Slack convos, anything that contradicted what he was feeding upper management. It gets worse. A month in, we had a client meeting. Big pharma company, high budget project. Jason presents the updated wireframes, but they're my slides. He just added his name to the bottom corner and cut my introduction from the deck. When I pointed it out afterward, still pretending to be friendly, he gave me a wink and said, "All part of the game, bro. You'll get your spotlight." I went to the bathroom and just stared at myself in the mirror for a solid minute. Not because I was angry. But I was also realizing just how deep his arrogance ran. He didn't think there would ever be consequences. And that's when I decided I needed help. Enter Nina. Nina is a senior HR specialist and one of the few people I genuinely trust at work. We bonded over the fact that we both hate office politics and prefer cold brew over small talk. I didn't tell her everything right away, but I started casually asking about the proper channels for reporting management misconduct. She gave me a look and said, "If you're asking, something's already happened." I nodded. "Let's just say I'm building a file." She didn't push, but she said something that stuck with me. "Don't wait too long. Guys like that don't stop. They just get worse." She was right. 2 months in, Jason started commenting on people's appearances. Little remarks like, "You look tired today, Nina," or, "Kira, you should wear that color more. It makes you look less pale." I saw the expressions on their faces. I knew those expressions. I'd worn them in high school. By this point, my Google Doc was over 40 pages. I'd created folders, emails, meeting notes, design theft, HR violations. I even had audio, legal in our state, of a call where he joked about making up deadlines just to light a fire under the team. It would have been easy to go to HR then. I probably had enough. But I was holding out for something bigger. Because Jason? He loved attention. And I knew he'd eventually give me the match I needed to burn his whole act down. That match came during planning for the company's 10-year anniversary celebration. It was a big deal. Fancy venue, open bar, catered dinner, execs flying in. And guess whose birthday just happened to fall on the same day? Jason's. He wouldn't shut up about it. "It's gonna be wild," he said. "I'm basically the face of the UX team now. Gonna use that night to talk to the CTO, make some moves." And that's when I made my decision. I wasn't just going to report him quietly. I was going to expose him publicly. At his party, on his birthday, in front of every employee, partner, and manager who ever thought he was some kind of star. It was poetic. It was risky, but I had every receipt I needed. And it was almost time to cash them in. So I had the receipts. I had the motive. Now I just needed a plan that would leave zero room for doubt and maximum room for humiliation. Jason had no idea. In fact, he was getting more comfortable with me every day. He'd started asking me for advice, treating me like his go-to guy for anything design-related. At least once a week he'd slap me on the back and say, "You and me, man, we're going to take this team to the next level." I smiled. I nodded. And every time, I thought, "You have no idea how far down the next level is going to be for you." The company anniversary event was 3 weeks away, and Jason was obsessed with it. He talked about it constantly, how it was his night, and how the VP of product had promised him some informal FaceTime with the CTO. He even started prepping a little speech, just in case they asked me to say a few words. I started laying groundwork quietly. I reached out to a few people I trusted, Nina from HR, obviously, Sam from DevOps, a couple others who had their own experiences with Jason, but never felt they had enough to report. I told them what I had. I showed them some of it, just enough to prove I wasn't bluffing. Every single one of them said the same thing. Holy sh*t. How do we help? We had a couple meetings after hours at a bar near the office. It was like our own little resistance. Sam dubbed us the UX Rebellion. It was a joke, but it felt good to not be alone. I split my files into sections and prepped a packet, a printed portfolio of Jason's lies. It included side-by-side slides where he claimed credit for my work, timelines with Slack messages that contradicted his reports, screenshots of him bad-mouthing colleagues, even a transcript from that call I'd recorded. I was ready to go to HR with it at any moment, but I wanted the perfect moment. That's when I got the idea for the presentation. Each year, during the anniversary event, there's a short company-wide recap slideshow, a mix of team highlights, achievements, fun photos, and shout-outs. It's usually put together by marketing and shown right before dinner. Nothing serious, just a feel-good montage. Jason wanted to be in it badly. He kept pestering the organizers for more FaceTime. He sent them edited clips of himself talking in meetings, screenshots of his own Slack messages. Nice work, everyone. We crushed that sprint. And selfies with random teammates he barely knew. It was pathetic. And that's when the stars aligned. See, I knew the woman running the event slideshow, Alana. She'd started a year before, and we bonded over a mutual love of Studio Ghibli movies and complaining about team-building exercises. I invited her out for coffee. Over cold brews, I said, "Hey, crazy idea. What if I helped with the team highlight reel?" She shrugged. "Please do. Jason keeps sending me the most cringe stuff. I could use a second opinion." I nodded. "Yeah, second opinion, and maybe a little creative direction." She leaned in. "What do you have in mind?" And I told her. Not all the details, just the broad strokes. I said I had evidence Jason was taking credit for work he didn't do, that he was manipulating project data and generally screwing over the team. I asked if I could add one special segment to the end of the slideshow. Nothing cruel, nothing fake, just facts, presented calmly and clearly. Alana looked at me for a long time. Then she said, "As long as it's real and not just revenge for some petty office crap, I'm in." I showed her 3 files from the packet. Her eyes went wide. "I'll leave the last slide for you," she said. "But you better be damn sure." I nodded. "Oh, I'm sure." The final week before the party was tense. Jason was on cloud 9, strutting through the office, talking about his plans for Q3 restructuring like he was already VP. Meanwhile, I was polishing my little presentation, finalizing the screenshots, organizing the timeline, checking every quote twice. I even created a special title card, "What Leadership Should Really Look Like, a Lesson in Accountability." It would come right after the last fun segment in the slideshow. My heart was pounding just formatting the damn thing. The night before the event, I emailed everything to Alana. No turning back now. I barely slept. The day of the party, the office was buzzing. People dressed up a little nicer than usual. The venue was gorgeous. Glass windows overlooking the harbor, soft jazz playing, appetizers being passed around like we were at some swanky tech gala. Jason showed up in a custom suit. No joke. He was wearing a tailored midnight blue blazer with his initials monogrammed on the cuffs. He gave a little wave to everyone like he was running for office. I kept my cool. Said hi. Complimented the jacket. He grinned. "Thanks, man. Big night for both of us, huh?" I nodded. "Yeah, it really is." And I meant it. Because he thought this night was about his future. He didn't know it was about his past, and the weight of it was about to hit him in front of the entire company. The event hall was packed. You could feel the energy buzzing, light chatter, wine glasses clinking, the kind of laughter people only do when they're half drunk and pretending to enjoy team bonding. I was calm mostly. My heart was racing, but it wasn't nerves. It was anticipation. I'd played this moment over in my head so many times I could see it frame by frame before it even happened. Dinner was first. Jason made the rounds, flashing that politician smile. I watched him charm a couple of execs at the bar, then make a big show of pulling Mina into a selfie. She gave the tightest, fakest smile I've ever seen. I swear, she muttered to me when she sat back down at our table. I can actually feel my skin crawling when he talks. I chuckled. Won't have to deal with it much longer. She raised an eyebrow, and I just gave her the tiniest nod. She knew what that meant. Then came the slideshow. The lights dimmed. Alana stepped up to the mic and thanked everyone for coming. Cracked a joke about 10 years of questionable coffee and unforgettable coworkers, and then hit play. Up on the big screen, photos from team hikes, screenshots of big product launches, inside jokes only people from marketing would laugh at. It was wholesome. The crowd was loving it. Jason, seated a few tables from the front, leaned back in his chair like a king surveying his court. And then, the final segment. A black screen. White text faded in. What leadership should really look like. A lesson in accountability. Jason tilted forward, confused. The first slide. A Slack conversation, cropped clean and time-stamped, where Jason took credit for my work and mocked me in a DM to another manager, calling me a code monkey who couldn't lead a team if his life depended on it. Gasps. Next slide. 2 Trello boards side by side. One from our project, showing we were weeks ahead of schedule. The other was an email from Jason saying the team was underperforming and delaying client milestones. The contradiction couldn't have been clearer. The crowd was dead silent. Then came screenshots of him making inappropriate remarks. One of Nina, one of Kira, one where he told a junior designer, "You should smile more in Zoom calls. It helps with client engagement." A few people audibly said, "What the F asterisk CK?" Jason stood up. Okay, that's enough," he said, forcing a laugh. "This isn't funny. Who the hell put this in?" Nobody answered. Slide after slide kept playing. Emails, timestamps, and finally, a video clip. It was Jason's voice. Clear as day. "You have to gaslight a little," he said in the recording, laughing. "Make them think they're not doing enough. That's how you push them harder. They don't have to like you. They just have to fear you." You could have heard a pin drop. Then the last slide. All evidence compiled and submitted to HR. Transparency matters. Leadership is earned, not stolen. Happy birthday, Jason. Boom. The lights came back on. Jason looked around the room like he'd been dropped into a dream he couldn't wake up from. A few people were staring. A couple were trying hard not to laugh. Nina took out her phone and started texting, probably HR, maybe just the group chat we'd made called Operation Fall of Rome. Jason made a break for the stage. He actually grabbed the mic and said, "This is a joke, right? Some kind of prank." No one responded. He turned toward Alana. "You let this happen?" She shrugged. "I just played what was submitted." Then he turned to me. "You did this." I looked him in the eye and said, "No, you did this. I just made sure everyone saw it." He stood there, mouth open like he was about to speak, but nothing came out. Eventually, the CTO, who had flown in from out of state, stood up and said, "Jason, I think we need to have a conversation." Now, they left the room. Someone clapped. Others followed. It started small, but then Nina stood and gave me a slow clap, which turned into full-on applause. I was mortified, honestly. It felt surreal. I didn't want a hero moment. I didn't want a promotion or to go viral. I just wanted him gone. After that, the event dissolved. The open bar stayed open. People laughed nervously and speculated, and I got a dozen back slaps from people I barely knew. I left early. I'd done what I came to do. The fallout came quickly. Jason was suspended pending internal review the next morning. 3 days later, he was fired. HR cited multiple violations of ethical conduct and workplace harassment. Word spread like wildfire. People from his past jobs reached out on LinkedIn, saying, "I always knew something was off with that guy." Turns out I wasn't the only one who'd suffered under him. A few days later, I got an email from HR. They thanked me for my courage and said they were updating several policies, including how manager feedback was reviewed. I didn't respond right away. I needed to sit with it. I spent that weekend at my favorite hiking spot. No cell signal, just me and the woods. I finally exhaled. He was gone. It was over. But the story wasn't done yet. Because sometimes, justice isn't just about tearing down what's broken. It's about what you do after the dust settles. 2 weeks after Jason was fired, our office felt different. Lighter. Like we'd finally cracked a window in a room that had been stale for years. There was no big announcement. No all-hands meeting dissecting the chaos. He just vanished. His desk was cleared out the following Monday, his name scrubbed from our internal directory, and his calendar entries quietly reassigned. It was eerie, but also oddly satisfying. The company moved on. Quickly, but not blindly. HR held a few feedback sessions. Voluntary. Confidential. Basically their way of figuring out how deep the rot went and how they missed it. Nina and I both attended one. We didn't name names beyond what was necessary, but we gave them a full download. How Jason had manipulated metrics, taken credit, undermined teammates, and created a culture of fear dressed up as aggressive leadership. They listened. Actually listened. That was new. I thought I'd feel triumphant afterward, some grand sense of victory. But the truth was more complicated. I didn't feel like a hero. I felt relieved, exhausted, and oddly free. For the first time in years, I didn't dread opening Slack in the morning. One Friday afternoon, our VP of product asked to see me. I thought, here it comes, the fallout. Maybe I'd crossed a line. Maybe someone higher up didn't appreciate the spectacle. Instead, she offered me Jason's job. Your team respects you, she said. And, let's be honest, you were basically doing the work anyway. I didn't say yes right away. I asked for the weekend. That night, I sat on my balcony with a beer and thought about the kid I used to be. 15, skinny, braces, and an easy target. Jason had stolen so many years of peace from me. First in high school. Then again, when I walked into that office and saw his smug face behind the manager's desk. But this wasn't about him anymore. This was about me finally becoming the person I had every right to be, without apology, without fear. I accepted the role that Monday. My first act, I called in my whole team and said, starting now, we don't play games. You do good work, you get credit. You have concerns, I listen. No more walking on eggshells. Sound fair? The silence was brief, but then I saw Sam nod. Then Kira smiled. Then came the claps. Not performative ones. Real ones. Later that week, I got a message from someone I hadn't expected, Jason's ex-girlfriend, Mia. We'd met once, years ago, at a company Christmas party when she stopped by briefly to drop off something for him. She never stuck around long at office functions. I used to think she was just shy. Now, I wondered if she was just tired. She wrote, "Hey Mark, I heard what happened. I don't know the full story, but thank you for exposing him. I stayed with him way longer than I should have because I thought it was me that was the problem. Seeing the truth come out helped me let go of that. Just wanted to say thank you." I stared at that message for a long time. It hit different, because this whole time, I'd been thinking about my pain, my anger. But it wasn't just about me. Jason had left bruises on more people than I realized. And shining a light on him didn't just clean house. It gave people permission to believe their own experiences. And that mattered more than anything. Over the next few months, the team thrived. People who'd been scared to speak up before were sharing ideas. Collaboration improved. Deadlines were met faster. We even won a small industry award for a feature design Jason had once called unnecessary fluff. Nina got promoted too. She runs a mentoring circle now for young women in tech, and I've sat in on a few of the sessions. Seeing her speak with confidence and clarity, that's the kind of change that sticks. As for Jason, word got around. He tried to get hired at another mid-sized firm, but was rejected after someone on their hiring panel recognized his name from the birthday video clip that had, of course, found its way online. It never went viral in a mainstream way, but within industry circles, yeah, people talked. Last I heard, he's doing freelance consulting. Or trying to. Not many takers. Some people asked me if I ever regretted how public it all was. If maybe I could have just gone through HR, kept it private, let him slink away quietly. But I always say the same thing. When someone builds their career on the backs of others, they don't deserve a quiet exit. It wasn't about revenge anymore. Not after a while. It was about justice. About drawing a line in the sand and saying, this far, no further. And maybe, just maybe, it gave others the courage to draw their own lines. Sometimes I walk past Jason's old office, now a shared workspace, and smile. Not because I won, but because I survived. And I made sure no one else had to suffer in silence the way I did. The bully didn't win this time. I did. We all did.